It is the 16th of August, Rabbi Levitt Horeb. I was the only one with Rabbi first, so I think maybe the others are not around this morning.
Oh, okay.
Alan's pulse went very low, and so they the last time I talked with his wife, they were in Shari Tzedek. They had been in the emergency room, and they were just moving them into the cardiac section.
Oh boy.
Talking about a pacemaker.
Oish.
That was yesterday, so I haven't heard anything since then. I don't know, what the current status is, but for Shalema, for what is it, Eliyahu? Let's see.
Shlomo ben Fagel Peril.
Yes, exactly.
Bezrat Hashem. Refuas HaNefesh, Refuas HaGuf, Kol Evor, V'Kol Shesagidov, Machiv Arov, V'Sok Shachar Yisrael, Refuas HaNefesh, Refuas HaGuf, Hashtaba Golo V'Zman Koriva Nemo, Amen.
Amen, amen. And Roy, I saw Roy yesterday. I haven't heard any latest news about his wife, but the last I heard was that she was doing okay.
She came home.
She came home. She has a pacemaker now, and she was tolerating it and recovering nicely, according to what I heard several days ago.
Baruch Hashem. Okay, very good. All right. All right, so is that possible? We're up to, right. We're up to 352.
Letting, hiring, lending, etc. What does letting mean?
Yeah, all I know about letting is, I don't think it's bloodletting.
I hope not. Maybe leasing?
Yeah, leasing maybe.
All right, well, let's see what the context gets. Whatever you rent out, letting must be renting out, shall be suitable for the purpose for which it is rented. Do not plow by night with your animals and then hire them out by day, and so forth. Every duty, custom, law, or condition by which you are bound as a landlord or tenant, carry out truly and honestly. That which you lent for an unspecified period, you may demand back at any time. But what you lent or hired out for a specified time or job cannot be demanded back before the end of the period or the completion of the job. That which you have hired or borrowed, you must not rent or lend to others, except in the case of a house, and then only for the same purpose as it was let to you. So I guess that's referring to subletting.
Oh, a renter rents it to a second renter.
Yeah. So the house, then let's see, it's you hired or borrowed, and then you can rent to others in the case of a house. That which it's surprising because the landlord rented it to you. I know when I was in the housing market, when I was a renter, usually you would get an interview before the landlord agreed to rent to you. He'd interview you and he'd size you up. I remember the last landlord I rented from, he was very enthusiastic when he met us because he saw that we were older. We weren't gonna, we were gonna be more reliable in his opinion. and we weren't going to trash the place. We weren't going to have, we might have grandchildren come over to visit, but we weren't having children living there. He considered all those factors.
Yeah, right.
You then sublet to somebody else, then he doesn't have the advantage of considering all those factors about that person.
Only for the same person. Let's see. Yeah.
That which you have hired or borrowed, you must use only for such work and in such manner as the law and custom and the contract permit. You must not overload a beast, nor work it excessively. The same holds good for any object. All this is embodied in the commandment, thou shalt not steal. For any use of another's property to which you are not entitled is theft.
Yeah, he said before, I'm just thinking about the house, subletting the house. He said before that, you go according to Minig Hamadina, the custom of the place that you are living in. And that certainly is the custom that the landlord does not allow you to just change, leave the place and give it to somebody else without his permission.
It also occurs to me that, there is a concept of what you just said, a somewhat permanent change, but also there's a concept of a temporary change. I know when we came to Israel before we made Aliyah, we stayed in a dira that was rented by a couple of Bechorim, and we came for the holiday. I forget which holiday it was. I think it was sick. It was Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot we came for, and they went back to America for the holiday. So they sublet the place to us for 3 weeks.
Right.
That's a more acceptable situation from the perspective of the landlord. He might not mind, a very short term sublet like that.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, if he might not mind, but the point is that you would have to, even I think for such a period of time, he would have to be informed and agree, or at least that's what the landlord thinks.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, borrowing, lending. The debtor's duty to repay lies in the pronouncement, you shall withhold nothing. The paragraphs 336, 340, 341, where are also to be found further duties of the debtor. So we already covered those. Here we add, if somebody makes a firm demand upon you, be it regarding a loan or be it concerning goods committed to your care, if you are in doubt and uncertain whether you should refuse the claim or not, even though the court releases you, if you wish to be right before God, then pay it. The same holds good when, even if not called upon, you cannot be sure whether you have returned a loan or that which was entrusted to you. You must not keep in the house any promissory note that has already been paid, unless its cancellation is plainly shown. You might die and your heirs might unjustly demand payment again.
Uh-huh.
And that's odd though, because I would think that you would you would have to give the promissory note to the person when he pays it.
Yeah,
You'd say, okay, give me that note so that, that's my proof that I paid you.
right. Yeah, either one or the other. Either you give it to him, give it to the borrower, or you write on the thing that this has been paid,
Right, right. Or you destroy it.
or destroy it. Even better.
Okay, let's see. Service, casual labor. As to their hours of work, board, and wages, you must treat your servants and journeymen according to the law, custom, and the terms of the contract. Once the contract has been concluded, even if only verbally, any rescission, if it is to your advantage, is a breach of trust. And once the service has been entered into and rescission would be to the advantage of the other side, it is unlawful even if no payment of wages is stipulated. Illness and other compelling reasons provide, of course, exceptions to this rule. If you are employed for some service, be it manual labor or intellectual work, you must carry out your task punctually and faithfully according to law, custom, and the terms of the contract. You must not engage in any other activity during your contractual hours of work. If you have to perform intellectual work, for example, teaching, in order to keep mentally alert for your task, you must not go short of sleep or food. If your obligation consists of physical labor, you must not work during the night while giving your service to somebody else during the day, nor go short of food, not even in order to give it to your family. For by impairing your physical strength, you are committing a breach of trust against those who are entitled to your service. A servant must not interrupt his work at an inopportune moment, but shall work diligently and honestly all the time and with all his energy according to his obligation. Custody. If an article has been deposited in your house with your permission and you have accepted it, you have tacitly agreed to its custody. But if deposited outside your house, this applies only if you have actually assumed its custody or have at least said, lay it down before me and you are responsible for it. Lay it down before me and you are responsible for it?
Yeah, it's not written properly. I think what it means is he's saying, and therefore you, the one that said, lay it down before me, are going to thereby be responsible for it because you indicated to them to lay it down. So you've assumed custody, I think,
Yeah.
because it changes changes from.
So lay it down before me is in quotes, should be in quotes. That's the statement.
Yeah,
And then you are
yeah.
responsible for it is the explanation of the meaning. Let me put a quote in here. Let's see, quote.
I mean, unless it means to say that the one who's giving it to you says, and you're responsible for it. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah,
A bit confusing.
yeah.
Not written well. Needs editing.
Yeah. Okay. The Torah makes three distinct cases. One, custody free of charge, shomer chinam, custody against payment, shomer sachar, custody of articles which are lent free of charge, shoel. It doesn't have shomer, what is it? A paid guard. No, shomer sachar is.
Shomer chinam, shomer sachar, shoel.
Isn't there a
And
renter?
yeah, renter should be renter. Unless he's going to say later, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe he's including renter and guard under two. The guard is the renter pays. So custody against payment, maybe he's including both. In the first case, you only receive it into the sphere of your personality and promise attention. You are responsible, therefore, only for conversion. In the second case, you promised action and presence. You're responsible for theft and removal, but not for damage, robbery with violence, etc. If you were present and it was physically impossible for you to avert the damage. In the third case, you completely assume the position of the owner. And if the article perishes, breaks, etc., unless this happens through your using it legitimately, it perishes, breaks, etc., as though it were yours, and you have to replace it. However, in any case, if you have not duly kept and guarded it, or in the first and second case, if you have only adopted it for your own use, if this implies only the slightest wear and tear, or if you have actually used it, even without any wear and tear, in which case you are a thief. In all these cases, you are fully responsible for whatever happens to the article. Okay, now there's a long footnote. The Torah contains the strange statement that if in the moment of your assumption of custody, the owner of the article was your servant, Ba'aliv Iman, you have tacitly declined any responsibility. The underlying principle of this rule seems to the author so far to be incomprehensible. Should it be that implicitly nobody assumes more responsibility for material possessions than he has assumed for the physical fitness of a servant who owns them? For example, if your servant tacitly hires out to you an article, does he implicitly demand a degree of responsibility for his property, which is not higher than that for the damage which his body suffers during his service? Elucidation of this point would be very desirable. In the commentary on Exodus, we have decided in favor of that interpretation and given ample justification. I don't know. I'm not really following this this last part of the paragraph in the footnote.
Yeah. This is the there's an exemption called Baal of Imo. Those are the Hebrew words that he has in parentheses over there in this paragraph. Baal of Imo, which means that his master its master is with him, meaning, like he says, that if the whether it's a, somebody is working for you, and like he says, if the moment of your assumption of custody, you're borrowing something, the owner of that article was your servant. So then the borrower has an exemption for anything that happens to the item, and he says that's because you've tacitly declined any responsibility. I don't. This is this is definitely a din in the Gemara. The Gemara mentions this din. He doesn't quote a Gemara over here, and he's bothered with trying to explain what could be the logical reason for such a din. I was never aware that there was any logical reason other than the fact that the Gemara makes a drasha out of a pasuk, and based upon that drasha, they come up with this exemption in this case. And I always thought that it was like that's a gzeres hakasav. Not everything in the Gemara and Bava Kama makes perfect logical sense to us, but that's the din. But he's bothered. How could we explain this in a logical way?
Right. Yeah, I've now that you explained it, I remember learning it also. The owner is with him. And not understanding it myself either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's we tend to think of all the things that says in Bava Kama. They're all logical. They all are just they're not like the paraduma. They're not like the prohibition against eating meat with milk. But if you really look at all the details that there are in the halachas in Bava Kama, you will find things that you can't really explain in a logical way. So I remember hearing a whole shir about this. Anyway, okay. So that's that.
All right. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Nice to have my private tutorial session.
11:30. Yeah, right.
Have a good Shabbos.
Okay, you too, Lou. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Emir Hashem, I will see you on Sunday.
Ezrat Hashem.
Also, as I've done in the past, I've directed my bank to send a check to Congregation Beth Shalom in America, and then they're going to forward the money to you. That's to help you with your expenses during Benas Manim, since you're not getting paid by the yeshiva.
Very good. I appreciate it.
So it should be $600. They'll convert it into shekels. So
very good.
Hopefully that will be helpful.
Yes, it will.
All right. Take care.
All the best. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Surah's